Welcome to the Delaware Area Career Center presentation on work-based learning. This information is intended as an introduction to work-based learning for parents and caregivers of current DACC juniors. My name is Carrie Trusley, and I'm the Career Tech Supervisor at Delaware Area Career Center. As part of my responsibilities in that role, I oversee our work-based learning program, and I'm excited to share with you this wonderful student opportunity. Here's an outline for our introductory informational session. We'll define work-based learning and provide an overview of the different categories. I'm going to talk about what work-based learning looks like at DACC, student eligibility criteria and how to apply, and then briefly review some of the documentation requirements. On this slide, what you see is the formal federal definition of work-based learning. It's sustained interactions with industry or community professionals in real workplace settings to the extent possible, or simulated work environments at an educational institution that foster in-depth, first-hand engagement with the tasks required in a given career field that are aligned to curriculum instruction. At DACC, we believe that students learn from their involvement in structured work-based learning experiences that are coordinated with what's taught in the Career Tech lab and in the classroom. And we certainly strive to support work-based learning opportunities for all students. The Ohio Department of Education has identified 6 categories of work-based learning, each with its own nuances and slightly different frameworks. However, there are some consistencies in what the state requires to be in place for student activities to be considered as work-based learning. We'll detail those requirements just a bit later in the presentation. There's a myriad of opportunities for students to participate in work-based learning, and these opportunities may look different from lab to lab, even within the same category. Some of our experiences for students may be paid positions. Others may not be paid positions. Some students might leave campus and report to a different work site, while others will remain in the building. The details of the work-based learning will vary according to the category and according to the program, but the general framework and documentation requirements remain fairly consistent, and student eligibility requirements are the same across the board. So here's the list of criteria that must be met and maintained in order for students to qualify for and remain in the work-based learning program. Students have to have a 93% or better attendance rate, at least a 2.5 GPA, and maintain a B in their lab course. They need to be on track and stay on track for graduation. Pass the required Career Center testing, which is the web exams. No discipline infractions. Have parent or caregiver support and approval of their participation in the experience. Students definitely need to demonstrate a positive attitude and professional appearance. And students should have a valid driver's license and also have adequate and a reliable means of transportation to and from the work site should they be going to a placement that is off campus. This is an imperative. It's vital that students have reliable transportation. This school is unable to provide transportation for students who are reporting to another job site. All school financial obligations need to be paid, or there must be a payment plan in place. The student has to be 16 years or older and be able to pass a pre-employment drug and alcohol screening should that be required by the employer. Again, there are multiple categories of work-based learning, and some opportunities differ in the execution of the process. But for the purposes of this presentation, the steps that I outline will largely refer to students who have work-based learning opportunities that would take them off of campus, whether it's a paid or an unpaid position. First, a student should check in with his or her lab instructor to see if work-based learning is right for them at this time. We certainly want students to be skilled enough that they can be successful outside of the lab. They'll be continuing to grow and apply what they've learned in their program so far, but different placements require different levels of skill, and we want to set up our students for success. If an opportunity has presented itself to a student for a job or an internship, and we've not previously partnered with them for student placement, the site must be vetted to ensure that aligns with the program and it's an appropriate and safe place for a student to be. And that might require an on-site visit before the workplace is approved. Additionally, there's an application that students need to complete, the role of which is to confirm that each student meets the eligibility requirements. There are a number of school officials from whom students must get verification signatures. The application can be picked up at the main office, or the lab instructor for the student should also have copies of that. After the application is complete, then the last stop is to schedule a meeting with me, the Career Tech Supervisor. I'll review everything, including the expectations, student responsibilities, kind of the nuts and bolts of evaluations, tracking hours, and answering all the frequently asked questions about the process. And to reiterate, while the details of the work-based learning will vary according to the category in the program, the general framework and documentation requirements do remain consistent. So all work-based learning experiences require these things to be in place in order to quote unquote count as a work-based learning experience. First, there's an agreement. The agreement outlines all parties' responsibilities and expectations, including the student, the parent and caregiver, the business partner employer, and the Career Center personnel as well, including administration and lab instructor. This is so that everyone is on the same page. There's a training plan that needs to be in place. This is the list of technical competencies that a student is expected to learn or enhance during the work-based learning experience. And that is developed in conjunction with the employer or supervisor. The lab instructor works to identify the appropriate technical competencies for that particular placement. The hours must be tracked. So the time students spend participating in work-based learning must be documented, and the wages earned must be recorded if that's applicable in that particular situation. There also must be evidence of a positive evaluation, and this is clearly an imperative, and it verifies a student's growth in the work-based learning experience. Tracking and submitting records is also something I go over in detail with the students when I meet with them prior to approving them for placement. And I will tell you that this final meeting is a great one. Students are always excited and eagerly anticipating taking those next steps to apply their skills in the real world setting. It is truly one of the best things about my job. That was just a brief introduction to work-based learning experience at Delaware Area Career Center. And I just want to thank you for viewing this introductory session. And this is my contact information again. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me with any questions you may have. I will be sharing information with students as well. And then again, sharing the same information with a little more detail in the fall with students again when it is closer to coming to fruition for them. So I very much look forward to working with the seniors, and yes, I said seniors this fall on their work-based learning endeavors.